I just watched that Seinfeld episode a little bit ago, the mumble talker. Yeah.
You agreed to wear that shirt on air. He's like, what? I didn't.
No,
she didn't even say anything.
She didn't say anything. I can't understand her. She mumbles when she talks.
I was also listening to Colin Moriarty or whatever.
Yeah.
He's got his Knockback podcast, and he did one on Seinfeld recently. He's got like 3 podcasts now. One's a Knockback where he talks about like old stuff from his childhood with his brother, I think.
Nice.
And then he's got his video gaming one,
sure,
which is called Side Quest. And then he's got one that's like Fireside Chats where he talks with politicians and different things.
I'll have to
check those out. And I think he just restarted his... Basically, the thing that he started with, he stopped doing because people weren't as interested in it anymore. They wanted him to do video game stuff, so he started doing video game stuff, and now he's doing that more. But he did one on Seinfeld, one of his... It's called Knockback.
Nice.
So him and his bro talk about Seinfeld.
I'll have to check that out.
It was pretty fascinating.
Nice.
So
no, he was probably my favorite on Kind of Funny when he was with them, just because he was actually one of the critical ones, and it was grounded in historical stuff versus the other guys I felt were very wishy-washy on some things and just had very stupid presuppositions personally on like what they...
I didn't even really know who he was until that whole thing blew out, like the whole scandal that happened.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
So like I discovered him through Dave Rubin's show.
Yeah.
And then I found all of his video game stuff. I'm like my first thought was, this dude reminds me of Coach.
Oh no.
Which isn't a bad thing. He's not afraid to like be critical of things and like
sure,
call people out and say things. So
dope.
Yeah.
Well, my boy, we better not carry on
not
too long
dilly-dally too much because it's going to take 50 years to...
For real. Hopefully not 50, maybe like 20.
We'll shoot for 49.
Okay, that's fair. That's good in between.
Yeah, it's a good balance. So yeah, welcome back to another week of the Pop Culture Punks podcast. This week we will be diving deeper into the E3 madness. We got a lot to cover. There's a lot of good stuff and a lot of stuff that probably ticked us off. And a lot of just chaff that isn't even worth talking about. So yeah, how do you want to start this? You want to just go down the list of things, or do you want to...
I think, all right, or about the... On the pop culture...
Pop culture...
Let's do this. On a scale from... I don't know what's a funny scale. On a scale
it's
from
like Quiplash. If you think too long, you'll...
Yeah, I know. Gosh, I can't think of anything funny. On a scale of I couldn't sleep for weeks because I was so excited, or this was the dumbest thing I've ever seen, where do you fall on that spectrum of excitement for E3 this year overall?
Here's what I'll say. I was on vacation in Colorado, and I was still keeping up with it. So that's like maybe like a 9.
So you were
the
like,
scale is, this is like, I was like literally on top of a mountain, like running out of internet, following Nintendo's like Twitter account, and like watching videos and stuff.
Nice.
While Evan's like trying to navigate this like dirt road, and we're like, she's like, I don't think we're in the right place.
And you're like,
we definitely weren't in the right place.
Announced Ridley.
And I was just like getting all hyped about whatever.
Nice.
I think the only conference that I actually watched like there was Bethesda's.
Okay.
Because that was the one that I actually wanted to see, because
Sure.
there was so much info I wanted to know about Fallout and stuff. And then the rest, I just followed their Twitter accounts and watched trailers and saw people talking about it and stuff. So
cool.
But yeah, I was keeping up with it like while I was on vacation, so I was pretty hyped.
Hey,
what about you?
I was hyped enough that I was playing every single conference while I was doing Photoshop work.
Yeah.
So that's pretty good. I stopped more than I should have to catch up on things that were being announced live, but no, I would say that this was a very, I don't want to say average E3, but it was consistently like cool moments. There wasn't, I feel like this is what tends to happen, having been a like E3 next to Christmas, E3 is the best time of year in my opinion. That's just how it is. That's just the truth.
It's just the way it is.
It's just the way it is.
Yep.
Not gonna dance around that. But I feel like every year every few years there's like super dud years, and but what usually happens is they're either relatively good overall or they're just so boring with one just oh my gosh, they just did this thing.
Yeah.
That the rest of it kind of sucks and it's not really.
Which is kind of how last year was, I felt.
Yeah, last year was pretty mediocre.
Yeah.
But this year was just consistently. And I think for flagship titles and for things that I've been waiting to hear more about, specifically Cyberpunk.
Yeah. I feel like there was no like one moment where I was like, what just happened?
Yeah.
But it was
agree.
like
I would agree.
everything that I hoped for basically happened, other than some Nintendo things, which we'll get into, and some Sony things, but we'll get into that. But I feel like every conference offered something where you're just like, holy, even like Xbox, where we're like,
yeah.
we're kind of like, for me, I'm a little bit hopeful about what they do, but it's like I'm hesitant because I'm like, you guys have been kind of falling behind a little bit. But even them, although EA, I didn't really keep up with much of the EA stuff because I'm not really interested in anything other than Anthem. I watched the trailer and I was like, okay, I guess, because you were texting me and I was like, I'm not really buying into that.
Nah.
But then I watched the trailer and I was like, okay, I could see myself getting into this because it's like multiplayer but single player and it's like integrated like that. So
yeah.
But I feel like all of the conferences just threw some curveballs and showed stuff and you're just like, dang, what just happened?
Definitely. No, I agree. And I did watch, I think the only one I didn't watch actually was Bethesda. I did see, I think, the majority
we got everything covered then.
Yeah, dude, bada boom. Honestly, if I had to rank each of the conferences having watched them, I would say Square Enix takes the cake of absolutely why were you there? It just...
Oh, I thought you were going to say they took the cake. I was like, wait.
Square Enix, number one. It was... honestly, dude, like with all this stuff that we've been talking about, how crappy their games have been recently and just some of the stuff that they've been doing, this conference just wrapped it up in a nutshell of they are
cementing their irrelevance, basically.
They're dipping into Konami territory where
gosh.
there was their heyday and, you know, everything that Konami was doing was awesome and whatever. But goodness sakes, that conference sucked. Like
really?
there were so many games that I was like, oh man, I'm actually kind of excited. Like I know Square has been working on a new Avengers game that they've teased just little snippets of like Cap Shield and different heroes and stuff like that. Kingdom Hearts, I wasn't sure if they'd announce like a new world that they've been working on or something like that during that conference. Just something. Final Fantasy VII, that remake apparently has been going to crap. So is there any hope for anything? Are you gonna now, maybe they're putting Final Fantasy VII on the Switch? Like, I don't know. Like, just,
that'd be dope.
Whatever, just something.
Just give us something.
Yeah, something that it's like, hey, you didn't anticipate this, and here it is. And it doesn't need to be mind-blowing, doesn't need to be a completely new, I don't know, crazy Final Fantasy entry or whatever, but just something interesting. And it was just so boring.
Really?
It sucked. There was nothing
I didn't
in
even
it.
realize they had one, to be
Exactly.
honest. I mean, I saw people on Reddit talking about it and just saying, like, why were you even here?
Right.
You didn't show us anything.
There was nothing. And the few things that they did show that were new, I had no interest in. It just was, it was baffling of like, okay, but you are also the same company that said single player games are dying, which is why you're making things online or you're putting in season passes and you're doing all this really stupid stuff. So I don't know. I'm not behind Square's doors. I'm not attuned to exactly what they're doing, but there is some hokey business going on up top because goodness sakes, it was abysmal what they showed. And then to, again, in the context, it wasn't like, oh, well, they just kind of had a sucky conference. They don't have a lot to share. It's like there's some things to be worried about there. So in a weird way, that's my prediction coming away from E3 is there's going to be a sharp turnout from Square in the near future because they're not looking good.
Interesting.
In my opinion. Kingdom Hearts still looks cool.
They're the ones who are making Kingdom Hearts?
Yep. Well, I mean, just like any other bigger publisher, like I'm trying to think of someone off the top of my head, but Square has like
EA or
Activision, like how they have different, or Ubisoft is
Bethesda.
a great example. Like Ubisoft has, like Ubisoft Montreal or Quebec and these different ones that kind of work on specific games and stuff like that. So it's all under Ubisoft branch, but it's kind of separate.
Okay.
Like Platinum, who makes like Bayonetta and stuff like that, they have different things like that too. So I'm not impressed, but if we want to give our number ones, I'm actually going to say Ubisoft.
Yeah.
That was one of the conferences that I think I just like enjoyed the most, and the stuff that they showed actually, they've kind of become my go-to right now. Like I've really enjoyed their stuff.
Yeah, I feel like where EA is continuing down the path to video game hell or whatever you want to call it.
I like it.
I feel like Ubisoft is kind of actually taking the turn towards like listening to the fans and kind of like getting back to making good games again.
100%.
Because I think a lot of their franchises, I mean, I think their franchises have always been like pretty big and they've got a wide range of games to experience.
Yeah. But
in my mind, they've kind of like started getting stale because they're just making like the same game over and over again, like Assassin's Creed or whatever. What's that techie game that they made? I forget.
Oh, Watch Dogs.
Yeah. The second one wasn't as well received as the first one, and it's kind of like...
Well, that's the interesting thing, though, and I think that's where I'm excited with what Ubisoft is doing now, is having finished Far Cry 5, I really enjoyed it. Obviously, there's flaws and there's errors, but it was consistently fun. It was consistently good, and I wanted to go back and play it because it was just fun. It was just a fun game to play.
Yep.
I actually did jump in to Origins and started playing that,
which I've heard is really fun.
Again, it's one of those where it's the first Assassin's Creed that I've been like, I actually feel like this is a stealth game, and it's meant to be played like a stealth game where you're supposed to be quiet and you can actually snipe people and you can build up your abilities to actually be stealthy.
Yep.
Whereas, you know, as much as I love 2, like just some of the mechanics in those games was just like, I don't want to have to walk through a crowd of people to kill this person. Like I want to just
do it.
I want to snipe them. Like I want to snipe them from rooftop.
And I think that's emblematic of what Ubisoft is becoming.
Yep.
Like they're seeing the things that people like about their games, like like in Assassin's Creed, the historical aspects, the stealthing abilities, the ability to choose your own stealth path rather than like the path that they're telling you to take. And I think they're improving on that and even like the role playing game elements, which I've heard are even more ramped up in the next game coming. Yeah. But still focusing on that assassin aspect, focusing on the Templars and the whatever the other group is called. I've never played Assassin's Creed.
The Brotherhood. I guess it'd be called the
Assassins versus the Templars or whatever. And it's kind of cool to see. So
yeah, so they I feel like are and this is the thing is I know that there are a lot of people who would probably push back and say all their stuff is the same and it's the me. I'm not. Yeah, no, and that's totally fine. I think it kind of like dawned on me where I was thinking about it, and I think I've been trying to be less critical of stuff in a certain context where, you know, okay, well, I don't agree with this or I don't like this, so why don't I agree or dislike this? And so I was looking at Ubisoft's library and seeing, okay, well, everyone hates them because they make the same thing. Is that true? Like, well, no. Like, there's games that have similarities, but then you dive into almost the genius of they have different games that all are kind of in the same bubble. You know,
world, free experience.
Yeah, like free experience, but then there's like certain emphases. So with Assassin's Creed now, it's historical and it's more action fighting combat, like Dark Souls style. Not that same difficulty, but that real world lock onto an enemy, like 1v1, 1v crowd kind of thing. You have The Division, which is more online PvE, PvP focused. You have For Honor, which is only PvP, but then is a combination of that, but it's like same in that historical sense. You have the new Ghost Recon Wildlands with, you know, you have Far Cry, which is this open world, but it's first person and there's more chaos, and they just have this they're like grounded and good at what they do, and then they kind of morph it and evolve it in the little pockets of what game they're making.
They've basically got something for everybody.
Exactly.
Like, chances are everybody's playing at least one of their games.
Right.
I mean, not really, but I think most like gamers are probably playing at least one of their franchises. And I think even in that sphere, like with Assassin's Creed right now, and even maybe Division 2, I didn't watch the trailer for that one.
I'm actually really excited for that.
I think like with Assassin's Creed now, they're kind of like shifting it a little bit and trying to pull in almost the RPG people. Like, hey, we've got RPG things too. Because even like Far Cry, it's not like super RPG. It's more like a shooter with RPG elements. And so like taking Assassin's Creed, plopping it in Greece, and then saying like, here, let's have a little bit more role-playing game things. They're almost like extending the reach even further to those people who are like into the role playing stuff. So
right,
it's kind of cool.
Yeah, exactly. And they're not flawless, like they're not the perfect company and whatever, but at the same time they're doing things that are actually adapting, cuz I don't know, I think in a weird way I'm getting kind of irritated with the creative consumer community in general, so like whether that's music or movies or games or books or comics or whatever, where it's this it's this unmatchable expectation of people need to stay the same but then be completely different. And being in that position and having to deal with some of that stuff consistently, it's maddening. It's like, just pick something and like let's just do that and do it amazingly. And I feel like that is where we're starting to see, like, Nintendo isn't trying to be Sony. Like, Nintendo isn't trying to, grab all these crazy third-party games because they're like, oh, well, everyone complained because we didn't have them, so they're like, no, people love our IPs, so we're going to make new ones. They love our art style, so we're going to make it even better. They love it portable because that's our bread and butter, so we're going to do, and they own it, and they just do it. And so, but, so then everyone's going to be like, oh, but they don't have 4K, and blah. It's like, I don't care, because that's not what they're trying to do. Ubisoft, they're not trying to make, the next Gears franchise where it's just, this is this whole completely new thing that you've never seen before, or they're not doing that.
Well,
That's not their
in some
game.
ways though, like Ubisoft has created like every one of their IPs, I feel like, or at least the big ones now, like people still talk about Wildlands. People still talk about the Tom Clancy game, whatever it's called. Like, what's that? Siege on?
Oh, Rainbow Six. Yeah,
like, that game is even bigger than it was when it started.
Right, and they announced new stuff for that too.
And I mean, Division 1 was kind of a flop, but I think it's just the way they rolled it out. But like, I think they're learning from what they've done in the past and pushing forward, because people are still talking about their games. People, like, even their older games are still being talked about. Assassin's Creed is still a huge franchise. Like, I feel like in their own way, every one of their games has its own like pocket of like faithful followers in some ways. So
yeah, definitely. And so I was stoked on their conference specifically because the games that they were announcing and that they were talking about were just cool. Like, I was like, hey, this isn't gonna blow my mind, and it's not gonna be the be all end all of like the greatest game ever, but I'm really excited with the proposition of playing some of those. So seeing even like what they're doing with Beyond Good and Evil 2, I
forgot that was Ubisoft.
Yeah, we'll just run. I guess we'll start with Ubisoft because we're already on the train.
Or do you want to do my quick favorite one and then jump in?
Yeah, let's do that.
Mine was Bethesda, just because Fallout, which we can get into it later when we talk about Bethesda.
Yeah, I'd love to hear what
incredibly
your thoughts are on
skeptical about the new Fallout game, but also kind of hyped. But I feel like, I mean, that's the only one I actually watched versus like followed the trailers on most of the other ones, and I feel like they announced such a wide array of things, like, and things I didn't expect. I wasn't expecting like half of what they talked about. Like, I wasn't expecting them to say anything about Starfield. I wasn't expecting them to even show or acknowledge that Elder Scrolls 6 exists. And those are just peripheral things. Like, a new Doom is coming out, which I haven't played the first one yet, but it's just like, there haven't been rumblings about a new Doom at all, I feel like. Like, nobody's been talking about that. Rage 2 looks insane.
Yeah.
What was it called? Wild Bloods or something? The new Wolfenstein game.
Oh, it's like,
or is it a DLC,
it's like
or
Young Bloods?
Young Bloods, like an 80s themed like Nazi killing adventure.
It's like the twins.
What the heck? Holy crap! And just stuff like that, where it's just like, in my mind, like, a lot of companies and games are moving towards everything has to be multiplayer now. And I feel like Bethesda, other than Fallout, I feel like Bethesda cemented their commitment to like the single player gaming experience, which in my mind, like, I want games to be single player with multiplayer or single player focused with multiplayer aspects, kind of like a Borderlands type or something.
Sure.
Not like a multiplayer game that you can play solo, which is kind of what Fallout 76 is going to be, I think. So that's why I'm extremely skeptical about it. But so I think that's the biggest reason why they were my thing. And I think Sony would have been, but like, they didn't show anything like surprising. It was just like everything that they showed, I knew that they were going to show, and it was beautiful and astounding. Like the trailers and stuff, I was just like giddy about The Last of Us 2 and all
Ghost
that
of
stuff.
Tsushima looks.
And yeah, I was like, I'm buying that game when it comes.
Yeah.
And that's like all of the games they announced
Yeah.
looked fantastic, but I knew that they told us what they were going to talk about.
Right.
So I think Bethesda just surprised me the most with what they were showing.
Sure.
So. And then there's also like even a bunch of Prey DLC and stuff that.
Yeah, I saw that.
Out, so.
Is there anything else? Yeah, Starfield, Elder Scrolls, the little tease. Yeah, dude, that Rage 2 looks bananas.
Yeah, it's like Mad Max
game looks
crossed
absolutely
with
crazy.
Borderlands crossed with a little bit Fallout crossed with
like Doom shooter mechanics.
Because
like,
it's id and Avalanche, which
Yeah.
Avalanche made the Mad Max game, which is supposedly actually like a hidden gem as far as games are concerned.
Yep.
But so Avalanche and id are working together. So you got like the id aspect of like the Doom shooting mechanics and like the music focus. So they have like punky music, I think, in it. And then you cross that with like the Just Cause 3 and Mad Max style, like bananas, insane. Like it's gonna be crazy.
I don't know.
It's not on it's not on my pre-order list right now, just because I know like the thing about Bethesda's games is they're gonna be cheap really fast, just because single player games tend to go that route, I think. So I'm like holding off on buying a lot of games until like Black Friday
Right.
and all that stuff. So
yeah, I feel like that would be a great game because that ended up being what Doom was for me. Is there was a month where it was like there is nothing coming out for the next like 2 or 3 months, and it was like, hey, I heard this is supposed to be really good. Like let's dive into this and see what we get. And I love Doom. Like that game is just
I still need to get it.
Crazy.
I think it's like $20.
Yeah, it's stupid.
PlayStation
cheap.
added it to their hits collection now, which is like
they?
$20 flat. So
for $20 for the it's quick.
Carnage.
You just run in. You can kind of go at a good pace. There's an interesting narrative, but it's more just the just the fun of a Doom run and gun bloody murder.
It's more about the shooting and the just run and gun and killing. Like the
getting
story
that
is
BFG
not really...
big futching gun, baby. Holy cow! It's a blast.
Yeah. They threw out some good stuff, I think, and
for sure.
So yeah.
Well, let's ride out, since we're kind of already talking about Bethesda and Ubi, since these were kind of like our favorites, and I guess I should acknowledge too. I wanted so desperately to say Nintendo was going to be my favorite, but their conference and what they announced was cool. Like there were a couple things where seeing the new Fire Emblem, my heart.
Yeah.
That got me so excited because there hasn't been a console one since Path of Radiance,
which was
no,
right?
That was GameCube. Radiant Dawn was Wii.
Yeah.
There hasn't been a console one since then. There's only been the ones on the 3DS, and there's been a slew of them. They're all pretty average across the board. Awakening is a really good one if you haven't. BT dubs for anyone.
I still
listening.
need to play that. I have it on my digital.
Yeah,
shop or
it's very friendly to someone who hasn't played the game before, and it's actually a lot of fun, and the narrative's pretty cool. And I think it was the first game too where they introduced having your own character and getting to like make them and then make them a part of the story. So I really like that game. That game was really awesome, just how they designed it. And then the following, Conquest and Birthright, I think.
Yeah, I haven't played either of
and
those.
I played a little bit of Conquest. Those were a little harder. And then the newest one is like Echoes, Tales of Valencia, I think. So those are all the 3DS ones. So there's been a lot of them, and they've been consistently good. And then to see this one was just like, oh my gosh. And it's going to be portable with the Switch, so you still get that handheld vibe. But if you want to throw on the TV, Prime.
It looks like they're also adding more like... It's real-time strategy still, but also like there's more overworld movement and like like free-form movement as well, which would be kind of, I think if they do it right, it'd be kind of cool. So.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's the Fire Emblem games are just, they're consistently good at being really challenging but really rewarding and really fun. And like that one time, I mean, the OG games like the Game Boy one, I remember, you get your first Knight's Crest and you're like, who am I going to make into the most boss dude ever, And so there's like fun things like that. So to see that game, I was like, oh my freaking gosh, I can't believe they showed that. They did release Hollow Knight that same day, which I already have downloaded, haven't started it yet, but I've been waiting for that game to come to Switch since I heard it was coming in the Nindies. So yeah, Fortnite, I don't really care, but
it's big though.
It's huge, and it sounds like people are like, dude, this is the best version of it on consoles right now, which is like awesome, good. That the funny thing is that's probably going to be the thing that's going to get more people to buy Switches than maybe some of the games out currently. But
especially since it's free, like you buy a Switch, you can play
basically
Fortnite.
Yeah.
For
And
free.
I mean, for most kids, like you just get them with an internet connection and they can play anywhere. Like that's crazy, So
it's based because they're playing it on their phones right now, so you might as well
you get them
a bigger console and boom,
exactly.
now you can play it anywhere you
well,
want.
Then you
on
can
a big screen.
you can take the Joy-Con off and you have a straight controller and your own personal screen. You can throw it on the big TV. You can go to your friend's house easier and play together. Like it's just awesome. Like that's a cool thing. But other than those big things, and I'm gonna scroll down.
And I mean, they announced Smash, and I think they they spent a little bit too much time on Smash. I think so.
I
didn't watch the whole
100% agree.
thing, but people said they like ran through like every character and stuff.
Yeah,
or like a lot more than they should have. Like
I
like,
was.
Why are you showing us all of this stuff? Like, just tell us everything is here, and that's all you need to say.
Well, that to me was the confusing thing. Is it's like I don't know if they're still holding off for another announcement later in the year. Like if they're going to announce one more character or two, maybe.
There's like a whole campaign online to get Waluigi into it.
That would be awesome.
People were so mad on Reddit. Like, you abandoned our boy.
That's hilarious
because everybody like loves Waluigi for some reason.
Well, I think he's just like the meme and like in but he slowly became my like one of my faves when in Super Mario Strikers on the GameCube. When you score a goal with him, all the characters kind of have like a little cheer animation that they do. And all of them are pretty standard, like they'll run and they'll like jump or they're like shadow box in the air. Waluigi literally does like a groin crotch chop and like thrust. And ever since then, I'm like, I'm always it's like always Waluigi. So no, and I understand that. I actually do, and I think this is where I was kind of bummed with how they took it. Is we already knew it was going to be great. I've seen the gameplay footage. It looks exactly like the Wii one. It looks like they even made it a little bit faster, which is awesome. Like that just means it's a little more fluid and it's just cool. I love that they announced Ridley. I know I read Zach isn't super excited. Like he was kind of bummed. I'm kind of curious what his details are, but I was excited to get another Metroid character, and I know people have been asking for Ridley since Melee, I think. Probably even since the 64 one. So to actually see characters like that was pretty cool. But to your point, why are we spending 20 minutes
like
of a 40-minute
everybody
conference?
knows what Smash is.
Right.
All you say is we're releasing Smash and people's minds will collectively explode.
And then
like, a little bit of gameplay footage, boom. Oh, we're releasing every
characters
character. Boom.
Ever. Yeah.
You don't need to proceed to show us who the characters
yeah,
are.
and it's like, oh, by the way, this guy does this now. And you'll notice that Link looks like this. It's like, could have assumed, but, thanks for taking the extra 30 seconds to point it out. So, yeah, I just... that was probably the biggest. It was definitely not the worst conference, but it was the biggest letdown personally, which I really hate to say, but I think because I had such high hopes that they were gonna, I've been waiting for a release date for The World Ends With You. There's a couple other games that they've announced that
anything about
the new Pokemon.
Like they showed Pokemon gameplay afterwards, like the treehouse thing or whatever, but like they didn't really. All they told us was we get Mew if we buy that controller or whatever.
Right.
I'm like, you're not going to tell us any more about this game that
exactly.
The world is split on whether or not it's going to be like
worth
good
your time.
like worth our time. Like there's still people like Jacob who are kind of like, I don't really know like if it's going to be the same, if I should get it. And it's like you should tell us more about this game because it's coming out like really soon.
No, totally. But to your point with that, it's like, I was wondering what the heck are they thinking? Because
I think they thought that Smash Bros was like a home run, and people are like, it is kind of, but like you still got to give us more. Like we want the hype train to keep rolling, not just like.
And that's what I wonder is I honestly don't think it was as much that they thought Smash was just going to carry it, specifically because of how what they presented. Like there was almost again, this is just hearsay, but there was almost a like, we really either don't have a lot to share or there's other announcements coming later that are not E3 that we still need a couple months. Because
it was just a direct, technically.
Exactly.
So, I mean, they could just have another direct in 2 months.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but perfect example, why in God's name are you not talking about your new internet service? You spent
really
20 minutes about Smash Bros. And telling us, hey, all the characters and this is this character. And hey, you remember this character? That's that character. tell us what the heck this is.
Like, because like in the new Pokemon game, like if you want to trade with people and play online, you have to have the new internet service.
Exactly.
Smash, if you want to play online, you have to have the new internet service. Like, but what is it? All we know is how much it costs.
Right.
Like,
and
we don't even know whether we can trust that it's going to be actually good. Like, we can communicate with people appropriately and not have to use some janky archaic system to do it.
Exactly. And then on top of it too, according to Reggie and what they're saying over there is there isn't a virtual console coming to
and
Nintendo.
People are just like, what are you talking about?
What do you mean there's not? Exactly.
You hinted at it like a lot of like, and it's just like they're using really weird wording about things like there's not technically a virtual console coming, but there's going to be old games and stuff.
And it's like, you know, we'll have more to announce.
Like, just tell us something.
Exactly. Like, and again, that's their business. They probably have a specific reason for doing that. Yeah. Maybe they're solidifying a detail, or they want it to be like the big payoff of, you know, because I feel like that's one of the strategies that they've been doing really well is, and I feel like the industry has been realizing, is when you just give people things straight up front and it's a complete surprise, but it's awesome, there's way more of an incitement to just, I'm going to go get that right now. I mean, I literally came home because I've been checking the like past 4 months to see when Hollow Knight was coming out on the Switch, and I kid you not, I like got home. That was the first thing I did was download Hollow Knight. But you know, so like things like that. So I wouldn't be surprised if they have some of those bigger details cooking for that, and specifically because they've talked about there being old school games that are going to be coming to this new thing, but it's how does that work? And and I think it's very split on people's excitement, because there are some people who are like, I would totally give you another $10, $30, $50, $100 for all the games I've already bought and just do it again. There's some, especially when it's like, I have this game, I don't need to download anything, I don't need to have it be at the whim of my subscription, it's just mine. There's people on the other side though who are like, hey, they're going to give me 3 retro games a month, and it's like, you know, maybe we get to pick a couple, or they give us like 5 and we could put two or 3 in our library. Like, I'm kind of cool with that, especially for $20 a year. Like, oh, that's a really good deal. So, I mean, so there's great options in both camps, but it's like Nintendo, you're not going to say anything like, but you're going to go on and on and on about how like, oh, this character's technically like a sub character of this character. Okay, you could have just said that. Like, hey, this person literally looks the same and does the same thing. They're just, like, different skin. Okay, I get it. Cool.
Or they should have done, like, a separate just Switch Direct in a month or so.
Right.
And I think, like, on the Pokemon front, like, knowing that Game Freak kind of does their own thing, and I feel like we'll probably get another couple Pokemon trailers and whatnot in, like, a couple months. Like, because that's what Pokemon always does. They're always releasing new trailers and new, like, little tidbits of information as we go. But I feel like people just want information about things, especially the online thing. I think the online thing and the virtual console thing are the two biggest things that, at least in the Reddit communities that I've seen, where people are just like, why are you not talking about this? Like, it's coming out really soon.
Yeah.
Like, why have you not told it? Like, is there a reason you're not telling us things? Like, what is happening here? And so it's going to be interesting to see how it rolls out. But
yeah, and
E3, I was bummed that E3 didn't show us any of that, and they focused so much on Smash. But
yeah, and I honestly would hate that to be the thing that kills the train right now for Nintendo, is a sucky rollout of their online service, because
I'm afraid that it will. If it's not good, like, people are gonna be mad.
Right. And I mean, to me, like, I'm gonna jump on right away for $20, like, whatever. It just it's silly to not, and especially if they're gonna be giving me free games and stuff. But just like you said, I cannot understand why they would not say anything about the fact that it's coming out in a month, and, you know, here's like a little teaser, like, here's one big piece of information. See ya, thanks for E3. And like, just all this stuff, and then to just kind of culminate in just like a, you know, kind of a moment at the end. It's just like, you know, and then, you know, the other news that they talked about, one was Super Mario Party, which I was like, I can't wait to ruin all our friendships.
And I was like, this is
that'll
cool,
be fun. Like, yeah, again, it was like, that's cool. I'm excited. It looks like they're going back old school to the, actually, like, you're gonna lose friends over this game versus like, hey, let's be buddies for a little bit. And it's like, no, cutthroat. That's how Mario Party was designed. You want it to be, yeah. So if your friend doesn't walk out of that door hating you, you're not playing Mario Party. Right. You're not doing it right. But then the rest of it was like Xenoblade Chronicles 2 DLC. Like, don't really care. I'm sure the people who heard about that were really excited, but I was just like, Fire Emblem again, just like, that's cool. You know, Fortnite, like, okay, people predicted that, yeah. Hollow Knight is like, oh, can't wait to get that. Splatoon 2, that like released immediately, the DLC for that, and I've heard it's fantastic and it's really awesome. I'm like, great, awesome, cool. And then literally the second half of the conference is just Smash, which, whatever. I don't want to linger. It just doesn't deserve that. Nintendo was the biggest disappointment. That completely floored me.
Would you distinguish between the worst conference and the biggest
Oh,
disappointment?
100%.
Or do you think
100%.
Okay.
Because the worst conference means, to me, what in
like, just
being
overall
Square,
it wasn't good?
it was like there was nothing. There was nothing that makes me care about your company or to be excited about any game that you've talked about. There was, however, in Nintendo's things that I was like, oh frick, I can't.
like everything that they talked about, you're like, I'm probably
That's
gonna buy
cool.
that.
Yeah,
I'm
I'm
probably
like,
gonna play that. Like,
dude, Mario Party's coming
Yeah.
out this year. Like, we're gonna have to get some guys' nights together, play some Mario Party. But
I think they even announced Fighters, Dragon Ball Fighters.
yeah, Dragon
for
Ball
it.
Fighters
So
is
I was
coming
like,
too.
Maybe I'll actually buy it.
Yeah,
you know,
again,
'cause-
it's like that's
yeah.
portable. That's awesome. Like it's
Yeah.
it's bringing in new players and
Yeah.
they're
But
gonna.
it was
have,
like they
that's
just
gonna be
missed the mark a
portable.
little bit. Like they're riding too much on like current things, or like, I don't know.
And so I think this is why it was a disappointment. Is Square was just bad. Like there was just no substance, and there was nothing in Square's conference that made me want to watch it. Like it was like a waste of time. I legitimately felt it was a waste of time. Whereas at least with Smash and all the other Nintendo things, I felt like there was like some value out of it, like getting to see, you know, like, oh, that's awesome that Fortnite's here. The disappointment factor came in that there were so many, and I mean, people all over the internet have been throwing out things that they should have talked about and whatever, i.e. what we were just mentioning with the online subscription. I wish they would have said something about Metroid, because that should be at some point viewable to the public soon, I would think. Star Fox, is there anything there? I mean, spend some time with Starlink, you know, or not Starlink, what's that game that Ubisoft just announced? It's like, it's another Star something.
Wasn't it Starlink?
No, Starlink was the Bethesda. We were literally just talking about.
No, it's
What the
Starfield.
heck? Oh, it is Starlink. Starfield.
Starfield is Bethesda's
too many,
thing, yeah.
too many stars.
Too many stars.
Too many stars for one conference. But yeah, so like Starlink, and then also that Nintendo's open-handed enough to be like, hey, you want Fox and the gang in this game? And that alone was like, oh, I might actually check that out. Like that would be pretty cool. And just seeing how it plays, I was like, this might be a better Star Fox game than some of the recent ones that they've let out. So it's like, I might check that out. But other than that, it's like, why are we not seeing any new stuff? Like, why are you not talking about a lot of these games that you've announced like 3 or 4 years ago, or not 3 or 4 years, but months ago, or like last year when the Switch first launched and that first direct, like where was No More Heroes, the new No More Heroes game?
Yeah.
Where was?
It's kind of like they showed us things way too early just to get us all hyped and to buy a Switch, and now they're like, oh, that's not coming for like 3 or 4 years.
Right.
And we're like, wait,
Right.
what? Like,
And I mean that,
which is why I like what Bethesda does, because they're like, oh, we made this game 3 months.
yeah.
Like,
Well,
wait, what?
And that's to be expected. Like, I'm not surprised that, like, that's just good marketing, is just being like, oh, people are they're gonna drool over this game. And
It's also a
which
way
is
to
fine.
get people to be really salty about your product, though. Like,
Right,
oh, you
which
made me
is
buy
true.
a Switch, and now you're not releasing Metroid.
Right.
When you insinuated you would, or
Right. Or
now there's no virtual console, there's no online services,
Exactly.
and it's kind of like they almost gave us things a little too early, and now people are getting a little bit ticked, like they're not giving us more.
Well, this is the thing, because Reggie talked about this when they first were releasing the Switch, and they're talking about the timeline of games and stuff like that, and people were mad that there weren't as many titles out at launch. But he's like, no, we want this first year to be a build up. Like, we want it to be something that kind of gets people excited, and there's games in the interim and all that good stuff, because it's just hit 2 years, right? Or was it this? It's been a year as of this March. Is that right?
I think so, yeah.
So
It hasn't really been that long, so
yeah, so it's literally only been a year. So there's been a lot of really dynamite titles that have come out in this point. And now, according to this, dynamite titles that are getting really strong DLC. So I'm not super mad about them talking about things early, because I feel like what their plan is, which is a strategy. I don't know how it's going to pay off in certain points along the journey, but in my mind, I would actually prefer having like, hey, here's this game to look forward to, and it's like, oh, this is going to be forever, and then it's like, oh, by the way, here's Splatoon 2, and you're like, ooh, I'll play this for a couple months, and then, hey, here comes Mario Tennis. And it's like, oh, okay, like, I'll give that a shot. And then it's like, hey, Mario Party. Yeah. So I'm cool with that to an extent. Yeah. But I also, again, Nintendo's one of those companies where that strategy is very hit or miss for whoever it is.
I think that's in my mind, coming from a non-Nintendo person traditionally, like, I think they're still on a good track. I think Nintendo is still making the right moves right now, but almost like the E3 conference felt like they were too confident in what they have right now, because that's how Sony's conference felt to me. It was like, Sony has a right to be as confident as they are with what they're doing. They're like, nope, we're not showing you anything other than these 4 or 5 games. That's it. And people are like, wait, what? You can do that? And they're like, yeah, we have like 80 million people out there who play our consoles.
Right.
And Nintendo's almost felt like that to me too. It's like, but I don't think they have the right to be that confident right now yet. And it seems like they're trying to rely too heavily on their IPs, which I agree with you are solid IPs, but like, I want to see them like push past and thrive beyond just their games, because like, I don't want them to just continue to settle into the Nintendo fan base. Right. Which I think Fortnite will help push them into that space, and they've had Rocket League and all these things. But I want to see them push more outside of the Nintendo IP base and get like more people who aren't traditional Nintendo fans to hop on board. And right now it's like Mario Party, Super Smash, Mario, Zelda, like all solid games, but like that's not getting non-Nintendo fans to buy their console.
Sure.
And it feels like this conference was like almost relying too much on that hype train right now.
Yeah.
Which maybe is the right move. I don't know. I'm not in the business. I'm not whatever.
Sure. No, totally.
Coming from a non-Nintendo, traditional Nintendo fan, that's kind of what it felt like to me. Like they're relying too heavily on their things.
Yeah.
Which Sony has a right to do, I think. But Nintendo needs to give us a little more information about some things. So.
Yeah, I could definitely see how with what they showed off that it almost comes across as, okay, you literally sprinted past all the competition and now you're almost like taking a breather mid-race to just like, all right, we got some space, like Smash and this, and,
like,
and
I'm just like,
no,
don't slow down, don't slow down,
like, keep going.
Yeah.
Another thought that just came to mind though, and maybe this is a harder question to answer, is do we put too much stake in E3 as a conference itself? Because in a way, there's almost like a factor of like, is it more troubling? And again, this isn't specifically, to Nintendo. This is to like all the conferences, and even how we could assess, going through the different publishers and pulling it into this question is it more troubling to see companies who have to make a big reveal every year, and then looking at the track record of those companies and being like, you tend to suck in general, and then like, okay, but like here's like the big thing this year that you're showing us, and so almost like Sony and Nintendo in a way had very, very clean. I would say they were very clean. Like there wasn't crazy announcements, there weren't obnoxious games that were coming out, there weren't there wasn't anything that was like uber shocking. And I would say that the majority of the other conferences didn't really have that either too. Like with EA, like they didn't try to, fluff anything. Like they didn't, throw like, hey, here's this crazy thing out of nowhere that you haven't seen before yet. I mean, I feel like they kind of tried to do that with the Star Wars game announcement, and that whole conference was its own.
I think people like Star Wars is a touchy subject right now.
Yeah.
Like, especially EA, like EA gets Star Wars out your mouth. Man. Yeah. It's like, don't you talk about Star Wars.
Don't disrespect me, boy.
Like Disney's ruining Star Wars, EA's ruining Star Wars. Like people should just leave it alone for a while.
It's funny because I just watched a Futurama where they go to a planet where all the Star Trek characters have ended up, and there's a point where they're talking about like the difference between Star Wars and Star Trek, and Star Trek, not Star Wars, but Star Trek in the show. Like if you say it on Earth is like, you can get arrested for saying it. So I feel like we're edging towards that territory in our time. The non-animated world with Star Wars is like, I don't know, just like, it's like
talk about
there are 4 things you don't talk about: politics, religion, personal subject, and Star Wars. Like, that's just
exactly.
You just don't do that.
Exactly. No, I agree with you. Like I think a lot of the conferences felt pretty like chill, pretty complacent. other than Microsoft getting to show off Cyberpunk, because that was a part of their conference, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. And I think a lot of companies are going with Microsoft just because they actually have like a full 4K console, which it's like if you're going to show off your game, you might as well show off like the best version of it on console. But they were pretty fortunate to get that. Plus, they got the little sneak peek Fallout teaser too, with Todd Howard just randomly showing up and being like, "Hey, we're going to show you Fallout early."
Yeah.
But even like with that, like, but most of them were pretty safe. Like Sony, all they did was show like games we already know about. Microsoft was like, okay, there's another Gears in development, there's another Halo, and people like, okay, that's awesome, but like we kind of knew that was happening already. Like obviously those are the only two like solid IPs right now, unless Sea of Thieves is counted too.
Which I mean, that's
Sorry,
another
Chris.
that's another touchy subject too.
And Nintendo, they're relying on their things and stuff. It's almost like everybody was a little bit complacent this year with their releasing, and like. In my mind, I want Nintendo to be a little bit more cutthroat right now. Like, I want them to like be fighting for the top spot, even though like they're never gonna like be in the same space that like Sony and Microsoft are in a sense, because usually people own like one of those two plus like the Nintendo console. Like, I would never just own a Nintendo console because like there's a lot of games that you can't play then. But they also have games to offer that those other consoles can't offer, and different experiences that those consoles are starting to offer less and less. So it's like a good thing, but I want to see Nintendo act as if they're like gunning for that top spot.
Yeah,
like I want to see them like just cutthroat running, and it felt like they were just at the same place, like complacent, like we're just going to rely on. And maybe that's a good thing. Maybe you're right. E3 might just be overblown. Like, why are we putting so much stock in this giant thing? But at the same time, like that's what E3 is for, is to get like people hyped on your stuff for the rest of the year, because then otherwise it's just slow trickles and whatnot.
Yeah, and I feel like it's hard too, because if we were to do a deep dive into E3 as a conference,
I wouldn't even know where to start with that.
Yeah, I mean,
I've only started watching it like last year or 2 years ago.
Yeah, and I mean,
so.
there's a whole history of like, you know, it being a huge success, and there's a lot of years where it was like really bad, and you know all the cringe compilations that they have online and all that stuff. So it's hard, because I feel like it's a balance between, yes, this is a huge opportunity for you as a company to just chuck out the big bomb drop, but there's also a risk in doing that, and we've seen equally that happen with other games where they're like, it gets a ton of fanfare and a ton of applause, and that's the only thing that anyone can talk. I mean, perfect example, when they first showed off Watch Dogs 1, and it was like this extra render and the rain effects, and it was like played on something, and it was like, oh, this is in-game footage, which it was, but it was on like a mega PC or something, and you know, they show off the combat and the gunfight, and it was just like, oh, this game looks amazing, and then it doesn't look like that. Yeah, and everyone's like, it doesn't look like that.
I feel like that was like Ubisoft's meme for a while. Like,
yeah, exactly.
E3 footage, actual gameplay footage is like potato.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and so like that has come back and bite people in the bit, and people really hard in the butt. I mean, Final Fantasy with Square, like they announced like, we're doing a Final Fantasy VII remake. Everyone's like, oh, super fire, and then they're like, we just lost like
10
two
years.
directors, and we might actually scrap her. I think that's because one of my coworkers is a huge Final Fantasy fan, and 7 is his favorite, and he's been following that. And I think he said, I don't quote me on this, I would Google it before you freak out. But I want to say that he said that all the in-game footage and all the stuff that they've come up with so far, some major change happened in the dev team, and they like scrapped it, everything. So again, that's another one where people were like, yes, Final Fantasy VII Remake, and it's an action brawler. That looks dope. And then it's like, might not ever come out, or like it might be like 20 years or something crazy like that. So I feel like E3 as a conference itself, getting real meta, is like flawed. It's like a superhero in a way. Like it's its own worst enemy. It is the perfect platform for people to just be excited and just throw out these sweet bits of information, like exactly like you said, get people hyped, not just for today, but for literally the year to come, or even a couple years to get excited and looking for news and stuff like that. However, it comes with a very, 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 very strong caveat of, if you screw up, or if you announce something,
find you.
They will kill you. Like, they are going to gun for you.
Gamers are not forgiving.
They are not. And so when
sometimes
you have
good, sometimes bad.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, so you have some of the things that were announced. It's like, do I think that it was as crazy as it could have been? Like, no, it was a pretty I loved it. I thought it was an awesome conference,
absolutely.
and
I made a spreadsheet
the things,
like
yeah,
you did too. So.
Exactly. Like the things I got to see, I was like, yeah, this is really cool. But I think in a way, I do think we put too much stock in it, and I think this is what companies need to do, though, specifically to leverage this more. I love what Nintendo does, that any day we could technically hear about a Direct, and it's like, oh, there's a Direct coming next Friday, and it's like that is its own mini E3-esque information drop. And I think other companies, if they want to be smart and not put so much stock in E3, because I feel like that's what's biting people in the butt, is that is your Christmas. It's either you get good gifts or you don't. And when you don't, it sucks and you're mad. But if you get the amazing gift and it's just as good as you could have imagined, woo, you're on top of the world. And companies I think need to follow in Nintendo's shoes a little more and have some of this information roll out
more consistently.
And, use Twitter, use social media, make some kind of like Ubi Direct or Bethesda Direct or things like that, or just I don't know, just like game community and I think too, like type stuff.
Bethesda specifically, like they tend to, I mean, like Rage 2 had their whole thing, and but most of their games they tend to just say like, hey, we're making this game and we're releasing it in like a couple months, and it's like a game you've never heard of before, and you're like, wait, how did you keep this under wraps for so long? And so like I prefer that mode, because then it's like I can leave E3, I can pre-order the game, and then like 3-4 months later I can actually be playing this game that they have been working on for this long and keeping under wraps. And I like Nintendo's way of doing things, because like you said, it's a slow burn, but every time they announce stuff, you get hyped. So it's like every couple months you're hyped again, and it's kind of like keeping you along. And it's almost like E3 wasn't anything to Nintendo. They're like, we're just going to do a Direct. Like, we're just going to show you basically the same thing we've always been doing. And so, I mean, in a respect, that makes me think in a couple months we'll probably get another one.
Yeah.
And that'll detail different stuff. And it's kind of like they're strategically like placing things throughout the year when they want to do it. And I'm hoping that's a good thing. It's hard to tell right now.
Definitely.
Until these things actually happen.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think, I don't know. I mean, I just started watching E3 like 2-3 years ago, like I said. So it's hard to tell like where it's been and whatnot, and you always hear like hit or miss on things. Like last year, Bethesda got trashed because like they didn't show jack crap, and people are like, "What are you even doing here? Like, why are you even showing us anything if you're not going to show us anything?"
Well, and that's the thing is like if you show up and you do stuff, people are like, if it doesn't meet a certain expectation for your company within the grand context of gaming, everyone hates you. But then if you don't show up, people are like, "Why aren't you going? You should announce it." So it's like, you know what, maybe.
And even
we need to relax a little bit.
And even in a respect, like most of my criticisms to all the conferences are like they didn't show me the things that I wanted to see.
Yeah, exactly.
And so like in some respect, it's like they didn't really do like a poor job. It's just I wasn't as like they didn't give me what I wanted. And I mean, if you look on the internet, a lot of the criticisms are pretty similar, like about Nintendo and Bethesda and different things. But yeah, I feel like if you bomb, people are going to let you know about it.
Oh, they are real.
And I think
good
this
about
year,
that.
like, we're definitely focusing on like the negative aspects a lot. But I feel like overall, like my pull list for E3 games is like massive. I had to make a spreadsheet and like, okay, I'm going to pre-order these 4 games, and then these games I'm going to put on my Christmas list, and then these games I'm just going to wait till a sale, and like, and it's kind of like, and then these games I'm going to pre-order when they're actually like the release date is announced, and like. That list is pretty big. I'm not going to lie. So, definitely. Like, E3 this year was, like, because I just remember last year, like, after E3, there was, like, barely any games that I actually ended up, like, buying and playing. Because it was just, like, I don't know, wasn't as impressed. But this year, it was just, like, we got more about Cyberpunk.
Oh,
we got
my
more
gosh.
about Death Stranding and
Let's
whatever the heck happened in that.
Dude.
And we just got so much good stuff sprinkled throughout each conference that I feel like the whole thing just felt like it just felt good.
Yeah.
But there was no specific conference where it was just like
you
just got blown out of the water. But like you walked away thinking like, frick, my wallet is gonna suffer this year.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So like in that respect, it was a good year for gaming, I suppose. So
so let's go down the because I feel like the two things that stole the show for me this year were the Cyberpunk 2077 cinematic trailer and then the Death Stranding trailer. Cyberpunk specifically because I'm going to buy that game. Death Stranding because what the heck?
Yeah, like Cyberpunk, I'm buying it because I'm like, I know that I'm gonna like it.
Death
Stranding, I'm
like,
buying it because I just want to know.
I just want to know.
It looks amazing, and I just want to know what the heck is happening. Like why am I strapping a freaking baby?
He's like,
to my
there's
chest?
like babies coming in the, like a little man place, and it's like, that opening shot of like the baby. It's like yeah, just like
what the heck is that, a throat or
yeah? It's like where is this?
Canal?
Yeah, exactly. And then it's like, and then it turns, and it's like, oh my gosh, that's booty. And then it's like, that's baby booty. He like flips around. He's like.
Yep.
It's like, what the frick? And then it's like this dude just like walking around carrying crap, and yeah,
giant weird backpack on his back.
I know,
a little robot following. I'm like, what is he doing? Like,
right, exactly. And then then all of a sudden he's in a cave, and there's like invisible things that are walking around, and now there's giant. Now there's like giant. It's like there they are. It was just like, what the heck? Like, this stupid game. Like, just, whoa. Like, what is this? So, I haven't wanted to jump on the train for that, because I've just been like, that's going to be
really anything.
Right. That's one of those games where I'm like, I'm not going to maybe buy it or play it, but I'm watching someone play it, because holy shnikes, that game just looks.
Definitely.
Just strange.
I feel like all of the games that Sony showed, I was just like, I mean, I didn't even know Ghost of Tsushima was a thing.
I didn't either. So, like, that was
and that's Sucker Punch, which did the Infamous games.
Yes.
And I was like, wait, a samurai game in the 17th century fighting off the Mongolian invasion? So. I'm like, count me interested. And then they show the gameplay, and I'm just like, this is breathtaking. Like, and the sword play and like everything, I'm just like, what the heck? Like, what has video gaming become? Like,
I know.
You can do, like, it's just like, we're like, every year it's basically like you just see things and you're like, my mind is blown. Like, what the heck is happening now with graphics and the ability to create landscapes and stuff? And it's like, I think they said, like, if you can see it, you can go to it, basically. So, like, everything you see, you can actually make it to that point. And I'm just like, holy crap. That's insane. I
can't imagine. So. And then with, Infamous, and like they're pretty good with like story and stuff like that. And I mean, they're kind of hit or miss with some of the Infamous games, but
yeah.
I've never really still it was like, oh my gosh, like I haven't seen like a cool samurai game in a good while. So to see that, and then also the new From Software one too, Shadows Die Twice or whatever.
Was that a VR game?
No, it's like a straight samurai Bloodborne or Dark Souls, basically. Really? And it's supposed to be harder. You have a grappling hook, but it's all kind of like that samurai, almost like fantasy style samurai. Like there's a lot of like Oni type guys that you fight and things like that. Apparently it's supposed to be harder than both of those games, which is...
So what you're saying is I'm not buying it.
Correct. Like, unless you want your heart to explode.
Yeah, I'll return it within an hour and a half.
So, I mean, like, that looks cool. We haven't even gotten to Cyberpunk yet, but freaking Spidey dog. Are you kidding me?
I know, like the game, the
my boy
gameplay was just like
that game. I was just the entire time. It just was like, I need it.
Yep.
I need it.
Yep.
I need it. I was like, I can't believe this.
As I was watching it, I'm like, Josh is probably dying right now.
I'm going bananas.
Yeah.
I was just like, what in the heck?
And that comes out in September.
I know. And so I'm like, what am I gonna do? Because and then Spyro comes out the same day. I think Nintendo's gonna be launching their thing, and maybe if it's good, like there'll be some stuff there. There's supposed to be some games coming out. I actually don't think there's a lot coming out in July and August, but
the only thing on my list that's coming out is We Happy Few. Comes out in August, but other than that, there's.
But then
really
you have September, so you have Spidey and Spyro, and then you've got Red Dead Redemption in October. You've got Pokies in November, and then you've got Smash in December. It was just like, but okay, staying on that Spider-Man train. My goodness, that game looks awesome. Like literally, Batman Arkham game with Spider-Man. I could not ask for a cooler premise, and just seeing how they were making it, and just all the different
villains
fight sequence and stuff. Yeah, how all the villains that are going to be in it, and then just like I am really freaking excited. And just like I watched the stage floor demo that they did later, and just seeing, it's like you're playing Spider-Man, but you're playing Spider-Man in the, you're punching a bunch of guys, you're like swinging between one guy and then ducking another guy and punching that guy, and then you're grabbing a car door and slamming it into that guy, and then you're webbing this guy and you're sticking this guy to this building. I'm getting too excited. Like,
the arms are flailing.
My arms are flailing. It was just like, oh my gosh, this game. I am so stoked. I'm so stoked. And, so I mean, like, and just staying on the Sony bandwagon too, like The Last of Us 2 looks freaking awesome. Again, I didn't like the gameplay of the first one, but that might be one I might have to go back and watch someone play, because goodness sakes, like, this one just looks stellar.
Yeah, like they definitely reworked like the melee combat system, because it just like, if that was actual gameplay, I couldn't tell, because like just how fluid like the melee combat ended up being, and like just running and tossing something and then like drop kicking someone, and like the arrow movements and like just ripping the arrows out of people's bodies and then using them as arrows. And it's like, this looks like a movie, like not somebody playing a video game, like literally. And it was just fascinating to see. It's just nuts.
Yeah. And I mean, if it ends up being one of those where my coworker pointed out that he was geeking out when she killed the one guy and his quiver fell and all the arrows, and she like grabs a bunch of them, and then it's like the +3 or whatever pops up on screen, where, I mean, technically I could see how they could code for that if given a certain position or number of items, like, I mean, it's basically just a string of logs, like if this, then this animation. So, I mean, they could have could have all been straight gameplay, which I think it was. Yeah, that's what I thought, but I've seen a lot of people were like, that was a trailer. Like, that was just a fancy, like, kind of stage trailer where with very specific, okay, I'm going to go and run and do this, and I'm going to be
certainly not going to be as fluid as it seems, but
that moment when she's hiding under the car, and like the one, she like sees the other person, she's like looking under the other car, and she like lines up because she knows she's coming, and then she like ducks, and then she's got to run, and oh my gosh, like that just was, it looked really good. Oh, excuse me.
I'm pretty excited to see what happens, because they seem to, like, I can't tell what the story is going to be. I feel like the story is everybody in that, like, where that party that she was at or whatever, all those people are probably dead. Like, some weird cult or something probably killed like everybody that she knows or something. And now she's just like out on revenge, like trying to hunt down this like mastermind person or something. And I think it'll be interesting to see, because a lot of the first one was focused on like, well, what does it look like for basically like a father type figure to escort this like girl that he doesn't know to the other side of the country and just survive like this weird zombie sort of outbreak or whatever. And I feel like this one's going to focus less on like the zombie type stuff and survival, and more on just like revenge and like deal with those, like, because the first one was dealt with ideas of like love and different, like learning to love somebody that isn't actually your daughter because your daughter is dead or whatever. And this one's going to be like all about like revenge and hatred and like basically just like getting that revenge, I feel like. So it's going to be a very interesting, different.
It looks
different
dark
feel.
As F.
Yeah.
Like just that scene where she's in the woods after, they kind of have that first montage in the beginning where she's in the barn and they're dancing or whatever, and like when she's like sees that one guy just get gutted it was just like, whoa, like that. I was like, that again, I mean, I just finished Punisher, so like can't keep saying this, but I was like, I was physically uncomfortable again, where it's like, that is a very, like, there are some evil people in this world that are around now, and it's going to be very interesting to see the narrative. Naughty Dog is just unrivaled in storytelling. So I'm
kind of fascinated to see the storytelling and then the world building that comes out of that. Like, 100%. Well, okay, we're in the apocalypse and we've found a way to build a community and thrive and survive, and presumably someone has destroyed it. Yep. Well, who are those people and who is she trying to get at now? Yeah, and I'm definitely. Just like, and the gameplay just like, if any of that is gameplay, like it just looks so good and fluid, and you can actually go under cars now and all, like just like the stealth aspects. It's gonna be actually cool. Hide in bushes and like it just looks dope.
Yeah, so it's gonna be cool. Also going to Sony, I know we're kind of jumping around willy nilly, but that's just the nature of it. Sorry,
that's the podcast, baby.
But Control actually looked interesting too. That was that
I don't
game
think I saw
where
that one. What is that?
so it was very cryptic in a way, but it was like a female protagonist. She's got this thing that is shaped like a gun, but it's like all metal cubes, and it seems to shoot almost like pulses that kind of function like bullets, it seems. But she's in this very strange world where it's almost like a Doctor Strange, like mental type, like manipulating reality type thing, but then there's like another force that can also do that, and it seems really interesting. And so it's by the studio. Did I write it down? I did not, but it's behind the studio who made Mad Max, Alan Wake, and Quantum Break.
Oh, it's Avalanche, isn't it?
Avalanche? I think it must be Avalanche.
They made Mad Max. I know that.
So it's the studio behind Alan Wake and Quantum Break, and I know Quantum Break was like hit or miss because Microsoft tried some stuff
very much.
But they did do some cool stuff with like the whole time travel third-person shooter mechanics, so I thought that was pretty cool. So I'm interested to see, especially as like a new game from Sony. Like they've been doing a sweet job down the road.
It's actually Remedy Entertainment.
Remedy, okay.
By publisher 505.
Cool. So that was another one that Sony showed off. Pirates of the Caribbean is coming back to Kingdom Hearts 3. That'll be kind of cool.
It's going to be an interesting game. I've never played Kingdom Hearts, but I might just jump in because I've heard the story's too convoluted anyway.
Dude, yeah,
so I might just jump in. And
it's for the fun of it, honestly.
Get into like mix like anime type characters with goofy freaking Disney characters and
exactly
Jack Sparrow and all that. It's going to be nuts.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm excited to go and play Kingdom Hearts 2. And do that and just kind of.
I had the collection and I tried playing 1 and I just didn't like the gameplay mechanics for some reason. I don't know. Maybe I should.
How far did you get?
Not very far. I didn't like how the movement felt. And
did you make it off the island?
I don't think so.
Okay,
I played maybe
like
an hour or so.
That's like okay, yeah. You were. The island is like one of, and I guess they kind of did that in 2 as well. Because I know Zach 2 is his all-time favorite. I think under Aqua's story and Birth by Sleep, but 2 is like his all-time, is one of his faves, and he hated the intro to that game because it's like very like kind of same thing where you just have to do a bunch of stupid tasks and whatever like that and so on.
So maybe I should give it another shot.
Yeah, what I would do is I would just follow a video tutorial until you get off the island, until you make it to Traverse Town, and once you get to Traverse Town, it just kicks in. Like that's when you actually get to like go to different worlds and like maps, and you actually have to like kind of solve stuff to get to the next area and fight certain things, and that's when it actually gets fun and interesting. But yeah, no, when you're on the island, it's like the sucky part that you just have to do.
Push through it.
Yeah. Okay. So that would be my suggestion. But I also know that's like not someone's first choice to have to be like, all right, I have to get through the boring part.
Do you think I have to play 1 to play 2 if I'm not as focused on the story?
Yes. I would say it's surely for the enjoyment of. All right, so if you're not playing it for the story, in my opinion, because I'm not really either. I kind of have a stake in like I like Sora and Kairi and Riku and Donald and Goofy and just the characters that they've introduced. I have no flipping idea how the organization works, and there's like Ansem versus like Ansem the Wise, and like one is good, one is evil, and there's like there's like nobodies, and there's like characters who have nobodies, but then like the nobody dies, so then this character is just like whoa. But from the sheer experience of fighting and playing and exploring the worlds that are different in each game, it's very much worth playing the first one, because there's like you get to go to like Halloween Town and play there. You get to go to like the Olympus Coliseum, which I think is in the second one and is coming back to the third one. What are some of my other favorite worlds from 1? Oh shoot, I'm spacing so hard on some of the worlds that they had
But the point is that it's worth.
The point is
worth trying out.
Yeah, like there's a lot of like fun worlds that you get to go to and
when does 3 come out?
I think January next year.
Okay, so maybe I'll have to push through 1 and 2, and I'll probably just play on easy if there's an option.
I hate them for doing this, and it's gonna be such a bad financial decision if I end up doing it. But they had the limited edition Kingdom Hearts PS4 Pro. I was just like, you're killing me.
Wait, they actually have one?
They're launching one next year.
To be honest, I've been kind of wanting to jump on the Pro wagon just because, like, after playing God of War and just seeing what it looks like on 1080, like, getting that checkerboard 4K would be like, Oh man, I'm almost there. Where
Yeah.
I need to hop on the 4K train.
Yeah, and it was
some of these games would just look so good on.
And to me, that would maybe be, especially because I feel like we're dipping into, now that the Pro has been out for a while and the Xbox One X and stuff like that, I feel like there are more games that are designated 4K, because I was talking to a guy at Best Buy the other day when I was like pre-ordering all this stuff, and maybe we can jump to that after we talk Cyberpunk, because I don't think there was really anything else notable from the conference.
A lot of my thoughts are surrounding like specific games, so we can jump into like, well, what have we pre-ordered? What are we kind of just discussing?
Sounds
well,
good.
what are we doing now? Because there's too many games.
Anyway, so Best Buy, I was talking to the guy when I was pre-ordering all the games that I saw at E3, and he was saying, because I was asking him, just because he had an Xbox One and a PS4 and a PS4 Pro, and he kind of like changed them out at some point and got a One X, I think, and he was saying that he noticed a notable difference when he went from 1080 to 4K. Like, he said it was like, you could absolutely tell the downgrade, but he said it was for the games that are designated have 4K support, so Horizon Zero Dawn and stuff like that. So I in God of War, Red Dead, I'm sure is going to look freaking fantastic. Oh, yeah. Anthem next year is probably going to look awesome. The Division. So games are going to look, the newest games coming out are going to look noticeably better. Yeah. I'm anticipating. The question is, is it worth it to jump for that? But I mean, they're only like $350 right now. Didn't they bring the price down?
They're $350, and if you trade in your PS4 for it, you would like wait for a deal where you get extra cash or whatever. Like, you could get one for
like $250. So yeah, I mean, so that's one of those things of like, I would probably do it, but at the same time, the entrance would probably have to be low enough that I would be okay with it when the next year they announce the PS5. So yeah. I think that's the only reason I'm a little bit hesitant is I'm going to be real pissed when they announce 5, but I've heard that might not happen to 2020.
They have said that the PS4's got at least 3 years left.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
So I mean, you still got time,
right?
And I mean, like, if you trade in your PS4, you already got the 4K TV. So
right,
I'm like, I don't even have 4K TV yet. So
yeah, Black Friday, baby.
Yeah, I mean, for real though, I'm keeping my eye out this year.
Oh, you can. I mean, ours was like $350. I think, like, so you can get really
Black
good
Friday.
ones
I'm gonna shoot for like $200-300 maybe and see if I can find.
Yeah,
some,
you can get I would highly recommend like an Insignia, like that's what we have.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I'm sure people are gonna be like, oh, if you don't have like a Samsung USD 520X with like. It's like, whatever, it's gonna look great, and even just to have faster load times and stuff, like, that'd be worth it. But anyway, I was super ticked when the Kingdom Hearts Pro was shown, and it's like chrome silver, and it's got like the Keyblade on it, and I was just like, the child in me is screaming so loudly, like lock it down.
Buy it. You actually have money.
I know, it's like, this is what we've been working for. Like, this is why you pursued all you pursue. Getting too excited again, bumping everything. So. But yeah, other than that, there wasn't a ton of stuff in the other conferences that I was super excited about. I will say, before we jump into Cyberpunk and what I've heard around that, I am really excited for Anthem. I know people are highly skeptical. I've actually seen a lot of people, especially in the news, who are very like, EA has screwed me over too many times. I really don't want to do that. But specifically, like, Anthem and Division 2, just taking a side note too, no paid DLC, like completely free raids and additional story content, stuff like that.
You know what that means, though. That's
done.
Microtransactions right there.
But I mean, like,
if they're only cosmetic, then it's.
But if they're only cosmetic, like, dude, with that game, like, I would be fine paying $2 for a super cool looking coat.
Bethesda's doing with Fallout 76 too. Like, all DLC and everything they release from now on is going to be free for that game, with the cost of having cosmetic.
Which to me, I mean,
which I'm like, fine, I'm not going to buy it, but
right, and that's the whole point to me, is like, that to me, I would much rather them do that, because I am more willing to spend like $3 and get a couple cool hats and stuff that I just carry through the whole game than I am to like,
it's
drop
basically letting
$50
other people pay
on
for my
season
DLC.
pass.
Like, all right, you can buy a bunch of
exactly
drop $60 on cosmetic stuff, and
or like they're going to show this
DLC.
like right, or they're going to show this one Vault Tech suit that you're going to see, and you're going to be like, it's only $2. Like, oh, I'd do that for $2. Because I'm even envisioning with Division, if they do cosmetic stuff, if they have like some cross ideas with different
other
IPs, so you have like a Rayman Origins themed like outfit, or you have like an Assassin's Creed hoodie that you get to run around in, I'd spend $2 on that. Like it's $2, like whatever. And then
well, the only thing for me is the trade off with that is like I would want like the thing with cosmetic items that I miss in video games now is you used to just be able to like beat a dope bad guy and get a dope piece of armor. Now it's like you want to get the dope piece of armor, well, you just got to spend points, or you got to grind enough to get enough points to buy it,
right?
Or you got to pay money for it, and it's like, well, I'd rather just beat the boss and get dope armor.
Well, they did that.
Games.
I will say they did that pretty effectively in 5. People would probably disagree, but they had like a gold bar system where all the outposts that you liberated, you could get these like silver bars in the safe, which were actually the currency that you used to buy like the specific guns with certain skins and things like that. So like there was an active gameplay way you could get those things. It would just take a little longer to do so. And so I'm sure there's probably going to be a similar way. Even if there's not, it's all skins. You can still unlock other outfits and stuff like that, I'm sure. I was just super hyped of like, that made me even more excited of like, awesome, like great, please keep doing that. Yep. I would much rather have free DLC that comes out that gets me to go back to it than like, and then have, spend $5 a year on cosmetic items and do that, then you charge me $40 for things that are going to come out eventually.
It's kind of crazy when you think about it because, like, DLC is usually pretty pricey.
That's my point.
And like, it just shows you how much money they make on, like, cosmetic microtransactions.
Or that they're willing to gamble that they're going to make that much. Because, the season pass for Division 1 was like $40-$50, I think, and that's pretty standard across most games. So
they didn't really even have, like, that good of DLC and stuff.
There were some cool things, like they had like a horde mode type thing that had
that's
like
the kind of stuff I want.
And
like I'd want for free. It's
exactly.
Like, if I'm playing an online game, like I don't know. So
exactly.
Which is cool.
And so now they have that. And so to me, I was like, great decision. I'm all about it. I actually, and I went back because we still have, I have Division on PC, and so I was going back and playing it. And as much as it wasn't perfect, it was a very, 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 very high quality third person shooter in my opinion. Like the mechanics of the drops and stuff, that's still the things that I'm not excited about. But actually getting into the gunplay and like walking around New York and getting into the missions, I was like, this game is good. And if they actually take this new one and how they're talking about, the story and helping different factions and things like that, and the new groups that you might have to fight and just the combat. Are you getting
it for PS4?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I think for me, like, Division fun. When we played it together...
Division fun.
When we played Division 1 together, like, that was really fun.
Yeah.
Like, it was fun just getting to run around and goof off and do mission here, mission there, and mission there. But it's definitely not a game I'd play by myself. Mm-hmm. But maybe if you're getting it, maybe I will too. We'll see.
And especially if there's like... If it's one of those games where there's going to be cool stuff that comes out and it's like, oh, I'd do a raid boss for that. Like, sure, why not? Mm-hmm. And even with like the Dark Zone, if they bring something kind of like that back to just kind of screw around in and just like, goof off, like, cool. I'm totally for doing stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And I love third person shooters, and I really like the Division 1. And so like I definitely pre-ordered Division 2 just because, again, I'm on the Ubisoft train right now, and I think I've always been. I was looking back in my catalog, and I was like, man, I've played a lot of Ubi games. Like, I've really liked their stuff. I think they're probably one of my non-mainstay IP providers that I definitely am.
Yeah, I think they make good games. I'm just the opposite. I hate third-person shooters.
So they're like, no. So, yeah, and totally understandable. It's a different beast. But okay, all-time excitement for this conference though. Freaking Cyberpunk 2077.
Yeah,
oh my gosh.
I made a quick note in the thing here because in the last podcast you said that we were most excited for Smash at E3, which was probably just a little jokey thing.
Yeah.
But I was like, how about Cyberpunk 2077?
False. Cyberpunk.
I think because we've been getting like jack crap from them, other than one tweet that just says beep boop or whatever, and like a couple little pictures here and there.
Yeah.
Like the fact that now they've showed us like a trailer with some game. I don't know if there was gameplay in it. I can't remember.
There was not gameplay, but
the trailer, just seeing the world, and like it's almost like it's cyberpunk, but it almost has like this light vibe to it. Like it's not as like dark and depressing as cyberpunk often is portrayed. Like usually they have really dark colors and it's always rainy, like almost like noir. a feel to it, but this had like almost a light vibe to it. Like it wasn't necessarily all bad sort of world, and just everything just looked fantastic. Now my arms.
Now you're
moving.
getting too excited.
And everything just looked fantastic. I was just like, I'm gonna cry right now.
Yeah, very different trailer than the first one that they released. That's for sure. And yeah, and that to me was the reason this shifted. And I retract what I said. It was definitely joking in the previous episode, but there's a hint of truth to it. But now I'm like, especially after our recent discussion, I'm like, you know what? No, like I'm kind of impressed.
And I think like people were excited for Smash, but like. It's Smash. Like
I wasn't excited for Smash.
Is fun,
I was excited.
But Smash has always existed.
Right.
This is finally like the type of cyberpunk game that we've wanted. Like we have Deus Ex, that's a different type of cyberpunk, but this is like Witcher
straight
style,
RPG,
like role playing, like hardcore role playing. Like this is like heavily influenced by old school like RPG tabletop games, like the mechanics of making choices and stuff.
Yep.
And I'm just like, oh
yeah, exactly.
Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, shoot. What was I gonna say? I was excited for. I wasn't excited for Smash's sake. I was excited for new characters specifically. That was literally all I wanted to hear about, and they only announced one. So I was like, With this, I have heard from watched from countless news outlets. Numerous people got to play the game behind closed doors, and unanimously, every single one has said not just like, "Oh, it's good." They're like, this is going to be potentially the greatest RPG video game that has ever been made. Which I literally... It's just like... and it's cyberpunk. It's like...
I know. I can't take it. It's hard to imagine because, like... I mean, neither of us have played, like, The Witcher 3.
Jeez.
Really to a full extent.
Yeah.
But, like, that game, when it was released, like, that game is, like, the RPG now. Whereas like Elder Scrolls before was kind of like the RPG people looked to, and Skyrim was like the best, like 10s across the board or whatever.
Definitely.
But then once Witcher 3 came out, people were like, "Holy frick! Like this is a whole
like
nother,
this is how you can do RPGs?
Level of role playing game."
Yep.
And I think like just imagining those people working on this game, and they've been working on it for a long time, so you know it's going to be like, because I think they're even developing it, looking forward to like the next generation of consoles almost. And so, like, this game is going to be cutting edge, like, role-playing game, cyberpunk, fudge. And it's first person, too, which I'm excited about, so.
Yeah, definitely. That game specifically has gotten me so excited.
I know.
Like, just
as soon as they announce it, whatever the most expensive edition is.
It's like, done. Done. It's over.
Yep.
Yeah, so, I'm real freaking excited for that game, and it's... just like even seeing the trailer and just like I'm just so intrigued to see how they handle things narratively and like what they do, because it's CD Projekt Red, so they've already kind of made it clear that it's like this is not a kid's game, and from everything that they've shown, like I think it's gonna be freaking awesome. Like just it sounds like it's just brutal and visceral, that it's like dark, but it's also just, you know, it's cyberpunk. It's cyberpunk in its purest form, and it's an RPG, and it sounds stellar.
I feel like if any game is gonna push me to finally go 4K,
that's it.
This game.
And to be, you know, as we're talking about it, I think it's kind of kicking that in my brain more and more that there just wasn't a reason to, because there just weren't big games coming out that I feel like deserved it. Or there were games, you know, I can imagine Horizon Zero Dawn in 4K probably looks breathtaking. However, that game alone, like I don't think it's worth the entry fee, but you have Red Dead, you have the games coming out later this year. I'm sure Spider-Man's going to look really good. Anthem next year,
Odyssey
Kingdom Hearts,
look pretty dope. 4K.
Odyssey's going to look really good. Yeah, I mean, like, and then you've got all the titles coming out later next year. Division is probably going to look sharp, and anything that is going to look just even a tinge better or perform a tinge better, I think is going to be potentially worth it. Like, I feel like now we're finally getting into the point where it's like, okay, this is going to be a good introductory to 4K while it is what it is, and it's kind of like a you know, it's an unneeded expense. Like it's cool, but you don't absolutely need it.
Yeah, you don't need
but
to
if you jump in,
enjoy.
Exactly.
But like with a game like Cyberpunk, you're like, this is gonna make the environment just.
Oh my gosh! Can you imagine just the lighting effects and just like you know, all the robotic stuff and like good freaking lord.
Because with Cyberpunk too, like Cyberpunk is often like a very cluttered genre, like because it's capitalism gone run amok, basically. Like the buildings are all just littered and the streets are littered with crap and everything is like technology and trash everywhere and like just like houses stacked on top of each other and things like you almost need 4K to just flesh out all the little intricacies that they're going to add. Because you know they're going to add just like little things here everywhere and it's just going to be like, I'm not even going to play the game. I'm just going to walk around the city.
I know, right? Yeah.
So
I'm so excited.
Gosh, dang it, man. I think that was like Bethesda was my favorite conference, but I think Cyberpunk was like the high. Getting to actually hear the guy talk and see the trailer and just like that was the highlight for me. Like that game is a day one pre-order.
Definitely.
Like top of the list.
Yeah.
So if I could only play one game
next year,
in the next year,
it's like
I will sacrifice even Pokemon. I will sacrifice to play Cyberpunk 2077.
You heard it here, folks.
Philip would give up Pokemon to play this game.
And especially hearing that it sounds like it's gonna have multiplayer built in that you can go around and do stuff. I was like, that is the kind of game that I would love.
And I think they've definitely made it clear that like multiplayer is not the focus. So it's more like you can get your friends to come in and it's Borderlands style, basically. Like your friends can come in and you guys can do quests or whatever together.
Yeah,
and have the role playing. And I'm just like, dude, me and you running around for the freaking
I'm sure
city,
that boy might jump on too, and like any other
Yeah.
people who are PS4 owners, like
so
it's gonna be.
If you don't got a PS4 now, join in on us. But
Get
it's not
with it.
exclusive, so if you have an Xbox,
True,
you can still enjoy the beauty that is frickety frick frack Cyberpunk 2077. So
Give that boy a bone.
give that boy a bone.
All right.
So yeah, that was the highlight.
I'm pulling up my pre-order list because I
tell me about that spreadsheet you made.
Yeah, dude. All right, so I currently I don't think did I talk about it the last episode or
I think you mentioned.
I think I mentioned
you
it
were pretty
briefly.
short and sweet. It was like only 30 minutes, so there was a lot to get through. And
I followed your idea from the comic thing.
My ever-growing comic
honestly,
list.
it was like a very big. It sounds so dumb, but it was like a huge weight off my mind because I feel like part of it was like, oh, what game do I play? I'm like, oh, this. But now I feel like I'm just trying to make life efficient, which sounds so modern. First world problem. Like, I need to be efficient in how I
need to
engage
plan
with
out when I can play my video games.
Right, exactly. Like, we're like, I need to be efficient in my entertainment consumption. But legit, it was like
when there's this many games, I literally will not be able to play these all.
Right, or even just seeing though, like some of the games that I've wanted to try and play, seeing it's like going on for people. If you haven't checked this website out, I think it's How Long to Beat. Or something like that. If you just Google how long to beat a game, it should be like one of the first options that pops up. But there's a site that actually like tracks how long games are based on how you play it, and it's based on votes. So obviously it's not going to be a dead stop number, but so it's like, okay, well, I did want to try out the first Metroid for GameCube. It's like, okay, it's like, oh, that's only like 8 hours, like sweet. So then it's one of those where it's like, hey, if I just get up, 2 hours before work every day for a week. It's like done. It's done. I beat a game. Like sweet. That's awesome. Or for the games that I'm like, ooh, this one. I definitely even organized it of like, okay, like where does this one fit in the list? It's like sequels coming out.
Your list is like not just E3, but you like mapped out
every
all
single
the games
game that I
play.
own. Is
every
big.
single game.
Every single game I own,
dude. Mine's just E3.
No, dude, it's every single game.
I think I need to do what you did. Yeah, honestly, granted, I only own like 12 games right now, but
backlog play sheet. It is 44 games deep. Yeah.
You took our previous episode about game planning.
I did.
I'm glad you took my comics inspiration from my comics list.
Yeah,
my comics list is
all right, let's
three
see.
sheets worth now.
Yeah, let's see. So I organized it by console, by time to beat, and by progress that I've made in it. And I think I thought I did at some point like purpose or like how I could I had another sheet that was it's the additional thing is by reason to beat it. So it's like all right, there's like a sequel coming out in 2 months. So it's like, okay, maybe that game doesn't get finished, but it's like right, so Assassin's Creed, it's like the new one's coming out this fall. So it's like, okay, I might not beat Origins, but if I put in 10 hours, it's like, ooh, I really like this. I really want to try Odyssey. Or like Division 2, it's like, do I need to play Division 1 more on my PC? Like, no, but if I pick it up and, you know, dink around in it for a little bit, yeah, just like enjoy it. It's like, okay, cool. So yeah, no joke, I went super hard. So 44 games deep, I was like, I went through my whole house and just was like, all right, I got 3DS games here, I got 2DS games here. All right, that's all the GameCube games. Like it took a while.
That's the shit.
All right, pre-orders. I don't have too many, but I am. Oh, dude, I have Division 2, Unlock, Anthem, Assassin's Creed, Kingdom Hearts 3, Pokemon Let's Go Eevee, and Smash Ultimate. Right now are my, what is that, 6?
And
5?
Spidey, you're waiting on the special edition.
I might give it a shot and see if I can get it. Otherwise, I'm just gonna get a standard copy. But yes, that is also on my list to snag. So did I? Oh yeah, that is on my list. So I have all the games coming out in order, or like with release dates and everything. So
nice,
I was like, this is the only way I'm gonna stay sane and actually not freak out.
Yeah, so far, as far as pre-orders are concerned, on my list, I got We Happy Few, which is August, and then Fallout and Pokemon in the same month, which is going to be interesting.
That's
depending on how Fallout ends up, I may or may not get rid of it. I need to decide whether how strict I want to be on my insistence that I don't like multiplayer games.
For sure, that's fair.
And then Smash, which I'm torn because I'm not the kind of person who's probably going to play Smash solo. So, like, do I buy Smash and you buy Smash and, like, all of us buy Smash and then I only end up playing it with you guys anyway? And then do I even need a copy of it? So I'm kind of like, I'm debating whether I actually need that one right now. But I think it's kind of like Mario Kart. It's fun to have around.
I was going to say it's
then
one of those
if I
games,
play with my high school friends
or
something, then it's good to have a copy just hanging around.
That's one of those games. Same thing with Mario Kart. Like, I don't pull out Mario Kart consistently and just play
I don't
it by
play
myself.
it by myself at all.
But it is just one of those amazing party games that almost the majority of people will try, even if they're not super good at it. So it's just,
and in that respect,
it's a
Super
must.
Mario Party is kind of on. That might be like a Christmas one.
That's
just because I don't need. Like, I'm probably not going to need it between October and December, just because I don't have a lot of things planned. And Mario Kart will suffice for until then. But that'll probably be another one where it's like I just have those 3 games on lock, and then I cycle through my other games. Because I think Mario Kart right now is the only Switch game I actually own, other than like digital titles.
Oh, really?
I just like, I basically pared my backlog down to like 10 or 12 games, and like, because I was like, if I'm gonna own a game, then I want to own only the games that I know that I will play in the next year or two.
Sure.
And so I just basically sold everything else. And now it's like, because like God of War, I got it from the library, so I'm kind of
they're doing game rentals now?
Yeah, they got PS4 games.
Dang.
Even like new ones. I mean, I had to wait like a month or 2 to play it, but
but for
I wasn't
free,
gonna. I was on a hiatus anyway, so like.
Well, even if you pump in like 4 hours, you just to get to try it for free is.
And dude, we could talk about it at a different time, but
maybe next week.
Yeah. But yeah, so those are the 4 games I got from that I have pre-ordered right now at Best Buy, and 2 of those, it's nice. Fallout and Smash give you the $10, so
yeah, I'm gonna rack up like enough for one game. I think just from Gamers Club, I think all the titles I pre-ordered have the $10 thing. So BT Dubs, if you want it, some of those games are, even if you're on the fence, you get $10 credit at Best Buy if you pre-order. So.
And if you have GCU, you get another 20% off.
Yeah, so I was like,
if you don't have it, you can't get it. But
talk to one of us if you live in the area. We got you.
Yeah,
we'll take those points. Free points, baby.
So yeah, those are my 4 games. There's so many on this list though. Trying to like think of. I think the only ones I'm waiting for a sale on are probably. I'm torn between Christmas on Spider-Man or wait for a sale, because I know I'm gonna like it, but it's just like. There's so many other games I want to play.
One, it's all the other media that are coming out as well. Like comics, there's like a Punisher run I want to get into, and
yeah, my comics list like just keeps.
I can
growing.
Imagine
I've started like 4 new series this week already, and it's only Sunday.
And it's only Sunday. Attaboy.
And my Hellboy collection has gotten very big now. So
nice.
So yeah, I don't know. This list is insane. So.
Dude, it's gonna be a rowdy year for gaming. which means more discussions, which is good.
Heck yeah.
So, but I'm gonna have to prioritize. I'm trying to get all these other things I have for other people just done and out of the way. So one, I can get back to my own stuff that I want to work on, but also I just haven't gamed hard in like a really long time.
Yeah, that's the thing is like this summer I've been trying to take a step back, but I keep getting the itch. Like, man, I'd like to play BioShock again, or I'd like to play the new Prey DLC. Like, I just keep getting these itches to try things. And now I've got God of War, and I started it, and like I'm an hour in. I'm just like
heavy
holy
breathing.
frick, just chucking that axe is fantastic.
Nice.
But yeah, like there's so much to play. And so many comics I want to read, and so many books I want to read, and stories I want to write.
Yeah.
I'm just like, frick, dude, how do I manage this?
Well, it's
First world problems.
Honestly, like that was something that kind of, once I wrote everything down and like looked at it and then saw the stuff coming out for E3, it was like, you know what? I just need to let go of trying to like finish everything and like I think part of it, I think that has been a huge weight off, is especially how we've kind of geared the podcast. Is I was super freaking out when we were kind of running into restarting of like, I have so many games to keep up with, but now it's like, you know what? I'm just going to play it when I play it. And if we talk about it like a year later, like great, you go back and find it. 'Cause it's probably like $20 now, you know? So it's just like, I'm moving at my own pace. 'Cause it's just, you're never going to be, unless you have the time and the money and the patience and the spreadsheet and the 30 other things that need to fall in line for you to like beat and play.
Like, unless your job is
for the
literally
games.
like you're a YouTube gamer or something.
Right,
like,
or you
don't
work
have
in
the
some
time.
environment that allows you to. Like, you're just not going to have the time. And so as a result, it's like, I'm just going to play what I play. I might beat it. I might not. I might play 2 hours, but I get to try it. And I think I would much rather try everything and not get super deep in all of them versus just like, Spider-Man is the only game I'm playing this year. Like, yeah, that's great, and I'll probably enjoy it, but I would rather then take the other 20 hours I would have pumped into finding every other suit in the game than like, and you know, play Hollow Knight or play some of these other games than do that. And I think honestly, it's gotten me more excited because then with, you know, like Battle Chasers Night War or like Assassin's Creed or some of these other games, I'm not as apprehensive to start it because I've tried it. I enjoy it. I like it. It's awesome. Dig it. Keep doing that. You know, enough to formulate an opinion. Yeah. Not to like crucify other people who don't share the same opinion or like, you know, ream them for thinking certain things about it, but just like enough to say I enjoyed the game. I like it.
Yep.
My wallet is dead.
And I think that's why the podcast is fun, because it's like low pressure. Like we don't need like our opinions don't have to actually matter. Like, oh, you didn't beat the game, your opinion doesn't matter. It's like, who cares? We're just discussing crap. Like, like it's not like we're not actually like reviewing these games or reviewing things. We're just giving our opinions about things. And so it doesn't matter if you only played half the game, because it's like, well, I mean, whatever. So I think that it helps a lot. But yeah,
for sure. Just enjoy stuff, folks.
Yeah. Play what you love.
Do it.
Don't play what you don't love. And still try new things. Try some new things out. And buy Cyberpunk 2077.
Correct. If you don't, I don't know what's wrong with you.
I will find you.
And that's about it.
I don't know what I'll do.
I don't know what I'll do then.
But I will find you.
I might just have a conversation with you. I might just
I'll have
leave.
a stern talking.
I don't know. I might just go away.
We'll
see. But until then, you can check out our podcast on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, and YouTube. You can follow us on Twitter at I am Phil Sorensen, at Sixwing Creative, at C San Pellegrino, and at Chris of the Vast, which is Christopher. It was fun catching up with him and Marky Mark the other day.
Oh yeah,
playing games, and
I got triggered by his Watchmen comment.
Dude, I was thinking about it. I was like, Mark might be a fun Tilt Brigade.
Oh yeah, we'll get him on Tilt Brigade sometime.
He's a salty.
We'll talk to him about Marvel.
Yeah, dude, that would. Oh my gosh. He would be the ultimate Marvel fan trigger.
Which is all three of us. So if we get Zach and me and you on there,
oh dude, it'd be
throw
trouble.
Chris in there too.
It'd be trouble.
I don't think have we ever done 5?
No.
Do we even have 5 mics?
We could make it work.
Getting 5 people would be fun sometime.
Yeah, that'd be crazy.
But yeah, also if you want some merch, We still have Redbubble, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, you can go on.
My friends were asking me about that. I was like, "Did you listen to the podcast?
They're
We
like,
talk
"Oh,
about
no."
it every time."
They're like, no, I don't.
But he
listen to it.
said he listened to it in his car, so
Cool.
He doesn't always catch all those comments.
Yeah, so if you are interested, we've got 3 different logo variations online at redbubble.com, and I actually just updated everything with our new font, so we kind of changed, so you might notice that our logo
So the shirt
has
that
like
I have
more...
is like a rarity.
Yeah, so now our stickers are rare, so if you want the OG things... and there's actually a other small mistake that I corrected recently that's like very minor. It was just a designer thing that I wanted to fix. But yeah, so if you want like mugs or t-shirts or whatever, check out our stuff on redbubble.com. And they consistently run sales. So like as much as we'd love to like make the $2 we would on the shirt at like whatever they're selling it for, they do run sales constantly for like 20% off. So, and I think I have it all bumped pretty low. So I mean, like you can get a shirt for like $22, which I mean for some,
and they're high quality too.
They're really high quality.
I have 2 shirts from them.
Like, and I was even just getting some stuff from Hot Topic today actually, because they have a Bro Tank sale going on right now. It's like buy one get one for $5, I think.
Oh dang!
So I bought like a Punisher Bro Tank, and then I also bought a purple Game Boy Color Bro Tank, which I was like, yeah,
that's dope.
That's nice. So yeah, they're legit high quality, and even the mugs, like I have a tumbler that I take, like their stuff is really nice. It's like I'm not just saying that so you go get it and support the podcast, but it's like legit. It's like legit gear. So I have the premium shirt. I think you just got like the standard.
I just got like whatever the regular t-shirt.
Yeah, the regular
which is
t-shirt.
I think the cheapest option too.
Yeah.
So and that's really high quality.
Yep.
It doesn't fade. Like I just wash it normally. I dry it normally and never fades. Hasn't shrunk yet. So
yeah, and it's really good
quality
stuff. Yeah, like the mugs are really nice too. Like I have a tumbler that looks awesome. I do want to get a notebook at some point, but I just haven't pulled the trigger yet. But yeah, all the designs and everything are up to date. So now is the time if you've been thinking about it. So there's a like peach purple female iteration. There's a like bald dude iteration, and then there's the standard logo that we have for the podcast, and it's got the new font. So now's the time.
Yeah, boy.
Get it
good.
Yes.
Yes.
I was like,
I have to go to the bathroom.
Hakuna Matata. Well, with that, I think is there any other news? I think that's pretty much the gist.
I think that's all we got this week. We'll be diving back in next week with Zach's thoughts. So
yeah,
you'll get a little more next week. Too,
yeah, the next couple episodes will actually be kind of interesting. So we'll be
well. It depends on the timeline, but
yeah, that boy young Zach will be on a couple of them. We'll be hanging out with one of our old high school teachers who has his own podcast, Cubic Shenanigans. So he's a huge StarCraft and Warhammer fan, and he's super into I can't remember the director. He made like Kingdom of Heaven and some of those old like Knights Templar movies. I can't remember what his name is. He's like a super famous director. Crap, I'm spacing. I just blew it. But yeah, he's gonna be on, and we're gonna be doing a Tilt Brigade episode with him. So he's a super cool guy. Yeah, so he's awesome. And after that, we'll just be kind of doing some goofy stuff. So yeah, tune in for some laughs, some Phil impersonations part 2.
Are we doing
next
that?
week? Oh, we're absolutely doing that.
Let's go.
You kidding?
I was telling my friends this week or yesterday that I want to do that again.
Yeah,
so.
Dude.
They all got a kick out of it.
That boy, young Zach, is he's the ripe old age of 21. So if we pull out a little cider, a little bit of cider,
a little Bud Light,
no, what's wrong with you? It's a little cider, little Bud Light,
like Post Malone or something. Just cracking Bud.
I'm swagging on Bud.
So yeah, that'll be fun next week.
You bet.
We'll have Zach on. He'll probably be a hoot. So
as he is, he's just probably cooped up and hyped on coffee. So it'll be cool.
All right,
that boy.
Peace out.
With that, I bid you a fond cowabunga. Take it easy.